Seahawks against the Patriots, obviously in the Super Bowl, and that kind of dovetails into some Patriots talk with Albert Breer, NFL media writer. And if there's going to be more on Deflategate, Albert's going to have it. So now there's all this intrigue. This is like House of Cards all of a sudden, where, yeah. I mean, who's in charge of what, and who's in trouble for what, and when do we know?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. There's conflicting information left and right. Ryan Grigson just said that he alerted the league earlier in the week that they had concerns about deflated footballs. Well, the Patriots weren't informed of that, so that would give credence to the idea that there's a sting operation here. But the league's already said there wasn't a sting operation. So I think you guys can see that one piece doesn't seem to fit into the next with the information that's come out on this. And, it's going to be interesting to see going forward because there's so much gray here. In a situation where you'd really like to have black and white, I'm having a harder time seeing where the hard evidence is going to come. Now, what I was told in the immediate aftermath was, the primary thing was that the way that the Patriots balls were affected by the atmosphere was different than the way the Colts balls were affected. But, at this point, the lack of black and white evidence we see coming out and all the conflicting information, I think would lead you to believe that it's going to be difficult to sanction the Patriots here.
All right, so moving off the Patriots, because Lord knows it just seems like it's all we still talk about. The Cowboys have a really interesting decision coming up, Albert.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you have any insight on, is Dez the franchise tag? Do they bring back DeMarco? Those are two amazing players. Where do they go?
Yeah, well, that's a fait accompli with Dez. If they don't get him done, get a deal done with him, they're going to tag him. And I think there's a challenge in doing a deal with him. And I don't think it's the raw numbers. I think what you got to look at here is the guarantee and how much trust they're going to have in Dez Bryant. He's done a good job growing up over his first 5 years in the league. But I think you guys know as well as anybody, the players keep scoring the locker room by salary. And if you're making that much money, $15, $16 million a year, you're a de facto leader. That means everybody's looking how the team's treating you, the way that you're interacting. And that would mean another step of growth for Dez. So the trust thing's going to be big, and that's why the guaranteed money, not necessarily the raw numbers, are going to be important in getting a deal done. I think DeMarco's a different deal where they let him go to the market. The running back market was so flat last year. I think the Cowboys let him go to the market and say to him, we want to keep you an important piece of our team. If you don't like what we offered initially, go see if you can get more and come back to us. That's a risky way to do business because a lot of times players will tell you, go screw yourself. I'm going to go get the best deal I can later. So, I think there's some risk involved on that one. But I do think that there's a better chance than not that DeMarco Murray makes it to the market, no matter what happens with Dez.
Let me keep it in the NFC for you. Albert Breer joining us on the Rich Eisen Show. When you talk about the Rams and what you think they're going to do with Sam Bradford, what's an educated guess?
I've been told they want him back. Now that number that he's set to play for is high, and they certainly want to rework that. But my feeling, and I think their goal is to try to create competition at that position. It's going to be difficult for them to find a franchise guy based on where they're drafting and what's available in this year's draft and what's available in free agency. But they feel like they've got a team in other spots that's ready to win. And so, my feeling on this and talking to people in that organization is they're going to try and create as competitive a situation internally as they possibly can. Try to hold on to Sam Bradford and then give him competition in camp where he's going to have to go out and win the job. And here's the thing. They've been through so much with Bradford at this point, dealt with so many of these injuries and developing him and everything else. I don't think they wanted to go through all of that and have it work out for someone else.
Right.
So, he's been in the building. He was in the building at the end of the year. He's been in the building since. And my feeling's always been that the goal is to bring him back. And I think Sam's amenable to that, too. The question is if they can find the right number to do it at.
All right, since we're talking number one picks, as Sam was at one point, whether it's Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota or somebody we're not even thinking of, what is the buzz right now as the quarterbacks prepare to hit that podium and let America see what they're all about, Mariota and Winston?
Jameis is not. they're both projections in very different ways. Jameis on the field, you see everything you need to see. You're projecting him as a person. And what he's got to do over the next 2 months is convince the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Tennessee Titans and everybody else that he's grown from his experiences and the reputation that followed him at Florida State. And, a lot of scouts have built. I mean, there's negative stuff in this kid's file. There's just no getting around that. He's got to prove. He's got to convince the people on the other side of the table. Off the field, you can project me as a person. I'm going to be a lot better than what I was at 19 or 20 years old. On the flip side for Mariota, off the field, you see everything you need to see. On the field, he's a projection. And, I think some of the problems that Colin Kaepernick and Robert Griffin have had over the last couple of years are going to hurt Marcus Mariota. Now, all it takes is one team to draft him high, but I think there are teams out there that view him as a second or a third-round pick. And so I think things could get interesting if the Bucs do indeed decide to go with Jameis Winston, because then you're going to be kind of looking for a spot for Marcus Mariota, and he could wind up falling. I don't think it'll be, I don't think it'll be one of these where he winds up in the middle of the second round.
Right.
But I do think he could fall a little further than people might think.
Albert, thank you so much for your time, buddy. Have fun, stay warm, enjoy the shrimp.
You got it, guys.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.